Assalamu alaikum, my name is Halimah and welcome to part 2 of Quran Rehab's A Cuppa for the Heart series, where we've been exploring 3 amazing and powerful techniques to instantly change the way we feel and to positively impact our emotional state. Now, in the previous video, we explored technique number 1, which related to our physiology and body language, and today inshallah we're going to be speaking about technique number 2, which relates to focus. Now, it's really important to note that where focus goes, energy flows. So whatever we choose to focus on, whether it's positive or negative, we actually program and hardwire our brains into directing all our energies and our drive to achieve that result. Focus is so important and so powerful that regardless of whether we choose to focus on successfully building our businesses, taking our relationships to the next level, trying to sustain our emotions of curiosity and positivity, or we alternatively choose to focus on not disappointing our families, not failing our exams, trying to avoid feelings of depression or exploding with anger, our focus will program our brain and bodies to achieve those results. So we will end up feeling depressed or disappointing our families, or we will alternatively build those positive relations, sustain those levels of happiness, etc. And that's why it's so important to create a very clear and positive focus. Now, the way focus works is really interesting, and just to put it into perspective for you and to put it into a day-to-day context for you to understand, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation where you've purchased a really beautiful handbag or a new hijab, for example, or you've purchased a really awesome pair of trainers or a car, and when you've bought this item that you feel is quite unique, you start noticing over the next couple of days a lot of people wearing the same item or having the same item as you, and you're thinking to yourself, why is everyone cutting my swag? I hate to break it to you, but you might not actually be the fashion guru or trendsetter that you think you are. What do I mean? You've only actually started noticing those items around you because you've actually programmed your brain to start noticing that which was always there. When you purchased the item, you redirected your focus onto the item and gave it a conscious recognition. Now, how does this work and why? Well, every second, our brains are bombarded with hundreds of pieces of information. And in order for our brain not to overload and to be able to function in a healthy way and to focus on what's important, it has created a kind of filtering system that filters these pieces of information to extract that which is important for you to focus on and to disregard all the other pieces of information that might not necessarily be relevant or important to you. So until something comes into our conscious path of thinking, you will remain oblivious to it, although it does exist. Scientific explanation aside, let's actually delve into the Quran itself to see the extent of the power of focus demonstrated for us on a grand scale. Now, when we look into the story of Musa alayhi salam, we see this evident for us within the contrast between Fir'aun's focus and Musa alayhi salam's focus. Now, as many of you know, Fir'aun is historically one of the worst oppressors of all time. And when he used to rule over the people of Egypt and over the slaves of Bani Israel, he once had a dream. And his soothsayers interpreted this dream as a bad omen. And they interpreted it to mean that a man from Bani Israel would overthrow him. Now, Fir'aun's love and greed of power and wealth and his fear of losing it meant that he consciously chose to focus all his lifelong thoughts and actions to prevent this prophecy from coming true. And as a result, we all know that that prophecy did indeed become a reality. Now, Fir'aun began this mission with a very horrific and horrible order, and that was to kill all of the male children of Bani Israel by throwing them into the Nile. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relates to us, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ نجيناكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب يذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم. Subhanallah. So with Fir'aun's focus, his very actions and plans to kill this child, to prevent the prophecy of this child overthrowing him, actually in and of itself, through the will of Allah, resulted in this child being delivered to the very doorsteps of his palace, and led to this child being taken under the wing of Fir'aun and growing up behind enemy territories, living a lifetime under Fir'aun himself as a son. Now, when we look at the focus of Musa alayhi salam, we know that one of his primary objectives was to free Bani Israel from the tyranny and the oppression of Fir'aun. And the importance of this as part of his mission was mentioned in the Quran itself, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Musa to approach Fir'aun and to order Fir'aun with the following: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فأرسل معنا بني إسرائيل. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Musa to order Fir'aun to allow the children of Israel to leave Egypt with him. As a result of Musa salam's very clear and positive focus, we see his very productive and beautifully inspiring thoughts and actions. And I think this is most evidently displayed in the incident where Musa salam had fled Egypt with Bani Israel, and they came to the Red Sea, where they were sandwiched between a mountain, the oncoming army of Fir'aun, and the Red Sea. And in this situation, we see that despite how negative things looked, we see him practically taking action by moving through the crowds of Bani Israel with Harun and Yusha bin Nun, looking for a practical solution. And we see him that despite all the negativity and the questioning and doubts that came from some of Bani Israel, he would reply with high levels of tawakkul and with beautiful responses such as أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قال كلا إن معي ربي سيهدي. We know by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that through the positive thinking of Musa alayhi salam, Bani Israel were actually in the end freed from Fir'aun's tyranny and his oppression. Now, it's great that we've seen in action the extent and the power of focus, but how is it exactly that we can manipulate focus in a positive or negative way? Well, the answer to that is very simple, and that's through questions. Now, the questions, our brains are absolutely fantastic at providing answers for the questions we ask ourselves. But if we ask ourselves negative questions such as, why am I so rubbish at this? Why do things never go right for me? Our brains will in fact produce answers for those very unhelpful questions, and that will only impact our state in a negative way. Whereas if we ask ourselves more productive questions such as, what am I focusing on right now that's making me feel or act or behave a certain way? What is it that I could be focusing on right now that would help me to feel positively, such as make me feel feelings of happiness or excitement and curiosity? Now, my tip would be to write down a set of 2 or 3 standard questions like these for yourself that are constructive, and to keep them within a journal. So these are examples of journals that I keep and that I write standard questions to, that I can just refer to when I'm in a negative state where I would like to redirect my focus in a positive way. My name is Halimah. You've been checked into Quran Rehab. So until next time, inshallah, take care.